What's up, family? This your favorite cousin back again, and welcome to Rich Talks. This is episode 17, and today we're going to talk about love and loneliness. Yes, love and loneliness from a deeper standpoint, more so than just love and being lonely, but how it can affect someone, how they both can coexist in someone, you know, how people experience it, how it changes them, how it forms them. Is it possible for someone to be love and be lonely? Yes, it's possible. How? You can be of love and still be lonely due to your surroundings, due to your environment, due to your connections that you have. You could be a loving person but still be lonely. Certain needs may be unmet, so therefore you tend to yourself. And when you tend to yourself, that's where the loneliness comes in. But you still are love, you still share love, you still give out love, yet receiving love may be something that falls short. Why is that? Sometimes, like I said, it's the environments that we choose to be in, the relationships we choose to be in. When I say relationships, it's not necessarily just romantic. Even friendships. Sometimes we can find ourselves in line with people that don't necessarily meet our needs, or we can find ourselves in relationships where we're doing most of the work. And what I've experienced is either it being personally experienced or just talking with people and putting all that knowledge and information together, is that a lot of times, I would say for me, if I'm ever in a relationship again, not just romantic, but any sort of relationship, and I find it to be unbalanced, or I find myself to be lonely in this relationship, because I wouldn't necessarily say lonely, like that feeling of loneliness. I would just feel by myself. I would just feel, excuse me. I wouldn't necessarily feel just lonely, like, oh, I'm lonely. I would just be by myself. I would just feel like the person or the people that you're supposed to be able to turn to and talk to, counsel with, receive some sort of healing from, in the form of words, something, I wasn't able to turn to those parties in those situations. Again, whether it be romantic, friends, business, whatever. I wasn't able to turn to those people as they were to me. Therefore, I would believe I would find myself what people would call lonely. Again, I wouldn't call myself lonely. I would just be by myself in a relationship where, you're not supposed to be by yourself. And I would credit that to a healing nature. So some people may have a healing nature to where they feel called deep down internally to stay in these relationships where it's unbalanced. And what would cause you to leave this relationship would be the energy drainage. No more energy in these relationships. When you give your energy and it's not reciprocated, what's going to happen is your energy is going to go low. I don't care who you are, your energy is going to go low. And when that energy is not being reciprocated, that's where the loneliness comes in. Because the energy that's being reciprocated is supposed to keep you alive. It's supposed to keep you up. You see? You give out energy, you receive energy. You give out energy, you receive energy. That voids the loneliness. Again, reciprocation of energy in a relationship voids the loneliness. When people get lonely in a relationship or people get lonely, it's because their energy is not reciprocated. Therefore, they rely on themselves. See? Once you rely on yourself, that's where the loneliness comes in. Like I said, this is not just romantic. This could even be dealing with family, where you could love your family, but now you feel lonely in a house full of family. Why? Because no one understands you. You give your healing energy out to people. You help them, you heal them. Unconsciously, they need it, but consciously they won't say it or won't admit it because a lot of times ego's in the way. But unconsciously, they come to you every time they need healing, they need help. Unconsciously, they know who to go to, you know? But consciously, they don't recognize it, so they won't give you that credit due. Some people do, but they still won't give you that credit due. Nonetheless, even dealing with family, you can be lonely. You give love, you're sharing love, you love them, you know, you wish the best for them. It's supposed to be a loving and caring relationship, correct? A loving and caring relationship, correct? Okay. But yet you can still find yourself lonely. Why? No one's reciprocating that energy back to you. Even the energy of understanding, you know? You don't necessarily, that's where the whole, you don't have to agree with me, but do you at least understand where I'm coming from? Or do you at least understand me, you know? You don't have to agree with my thoughts and ideologies and this and this. And I'm speaking as far as being in a relationship. You don't have to agree with my thoughts and ideologies and this and this and this. You don't have to agree with it. But do you at least understand? Do you at least see where I or said person is coming from? And that understanding is what heals someone from being lonely. You know, because at the end of the day, that person could be right, it could be wrong. So we're not saying, oh, this person's right and we completely agree. No. We're just saying, do you understand where someone's coming from? Do you understand that someone wants to be heard? Do you understand that someone wants to be felt? Do you understand someone wants that same energy that's being put out to be reciprocated and not just siphoned? I believe we all, loneliness is good. Being alone is good. It's healthy when it's done on your own terms. And when it's not done on your own terms, like when you're in a relationship or any sort of, you know, relationship, when it's brought upon you and now you're forced to be lonely or isolated, it's still a good thing, but that goodness will manifest at a later time. And you say, how is that? How is that good thing going to manifest later? That good thing manifests later because now you find yourself isolated or lonely in this relationship. And now you have to see why you're lonely and or isolated in this relationship. You have to figure out, once you find that, you start finding aspects and things about yourself to where it's not even necessarily the other people, it's you. And this is for people who's ready to grow. This is for people who's already growing. This is for people who's willing to take accountability. This is for people who's, you know, willing to have an open thought, deep thought. This is not for people who still is willing to put the blame on other people. No. Because when you're ready for ascension, when you're ready to grow, you don't care who gets the blame. You don't care if you have to blame yourself. You're just ready to grow. You know, when you're ready to grow, you don't care if you have to take the blame. You don't care if you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, it's my fault. Let me fix this so I can grow. You're ready to grow. And whatever needs to be done to grow, you're going to grow. So, when you find yourself lonely in these situations, you have to look in the mirror now and ask yourself, why are you lonely? And the sad truth is, yes, on the surface, we're lonely because that energy is not being reciprocated. That's on the surface. But the deeper thing, the deeper reason, because we can't change people. So we can't force these entities, these people, anything. We can't force them to love us or cure our loneliness. We can't do that. The only thing that we can get from these situations is to align ourselves or put ourselves in situations that will be beneficial or that will put us in that energy that we want to be in, or we perceive or we believe that we should be in. Right? So how does that look? When you take accountability, or you say, okay, this relationship isn't healthy, I must remove myself. It's not healthy because this person not reciprocating. This person is this. But ultimately, I chose this situation. Ultimately, so I need to choose better. I need to align myself with people who have these certain values and traits and characteristics and this and this and this, in order for me not to feel lonely. In order for me to know that my energy will be reciprocated and not just siphoned. Therefore, now, when you take accountability, it's much easier for you to move and find a situation that's beneficial for you. Because you've taken accountability and you're willing to change, you're willing to move, you're willing to switch the situation up for you to find better for you. Let's put it like that, because I'm on a high vibe and I'm not trying to talk about being better than anybody or anything like that. No, I'm just going to say a situation that's better for you. Even though it is true that people are better than other people and all that, but that's not the talk for today. So you go find a situation that's better for you, that fits you. It's like clothes. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with a medium. The medium just don't fit you. You need a large. There's nothing wrong with the medium. The medium is going to fit who the medium is for. So sometimes you got to switch that shirt to a large, to your proper size. And it's the same thing. Sometimes you have to switch that relationship to the proper relationship that's best for you. And that comes with taking accountability. That accountability comes when that loneliness comes. It's just a trigger. You have to pay attention to what triggers you. And if it triggers you, that's when you go do the shadow work, or you sit down and you figure out, why is this thing triggering me? See? That's why I say loneliness can be a beautiful thing. Because it's nothing but a trigger. And when you pay attention to that trigger, now your eyes open and say, okay, this is the time for me to grow. This is the time for me to bring in what's truly meant for me and not just have things around me due to whatever reason. And I would say a lot of people who are either empathetic, who have an empath spirit, people who are healers, people who are nurturers, a lot of people who are helpers, healers, empaths. I said one more. I think I forgot, or I might not have said one more. Might have been 3 or 4. Anyway, these said people, I believe, I would bet 9 times out of 10 have found themselves in at least 2 or more of these relationships. Again, whether it be friends, romantic, business, family, whatever. They have found themselves, even with yourself, because you can love yourself and still be lonely because you are not healing or loving yourself. Ooh, that's next. But yes, these people have found themselves in at least 2 or more of these relationships. And before I forget, let me jump on that topic. How you can be love and lonely at the same time. Well, it's the same thing as I spoke about when you're in a relationship of some sort with someone who's not reciprocating that same energy to you. Meaning, you could be in a relationship with yourself, because you are in a relationship with yourself. So you're in this relationship with yourself, and you're giving love to everyone else. You know, you're giving kindness and patience and tenderness and nurturing to everyone else. And then you turn around and you don't love yourself. You turn around, you don't care for yourself. You turn around, you're not nurturing yourself. You turn around, you're not giving yourself patience. You turn around, you're not giving yourself words of affirmation. You're not giving yourself the things that you're giving everyone else. You're not accepting yourself. You're not accepting your thoughts. You're not accepting, your proper value in life. You're letting people, treat you some type of way. You're not having the confidence needed. All this can put you in isolation and make you lonely. Because you're not even, at this point, you're not even, in tune with yourself. You're not even reciprocating that love that you're giving out to yourself. So you can also feel lonely when you're in a relationship with yourself. Because you're not giving yourself what you need like you're giving it out to other people. You have to give yourself first. And this goes for empaths, healers, nurturers, teachers, helpers. You have to love yourself and give yourself that same energy before you give it out. You have to. Again, you have to give yourself that same energy before you give it out. You have to love yourself. You have to care for yourself. You have to help yourself. You have to nurture yourself. You have to heal yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. That's number one. That's how you heal being lonely by yourself, because you are your best friend. You are in a relationship with yourself. And we think, oh, that's simple, or no, but that's real. A lot of people don't have patience with themselves. A lot of people don't love themselves. A lot of people don't give themselves positive words of affirmations. You know how many people mess up and call themselves stupid? That's not a good thing. You wouldn't call, your lover, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, you wouldn't call them stupid. Some people do. That's a different topic for a different conversation. I'm talking about not an abuse. Those are abusive relationships. That's verbal abuse. I don't care what nobody says. This is a side note. Like when you're in the public and somebody's calling their kid stupid and this and that, that's verbal abuse. Your child cannot grow from that. I don't care. Your child cannot grow from that and be happy and healthy. And this is where a lot of loneliness comes from parents calling their kids stupid and dumbass and all this craziness. And there's ways that you can talk to kids to get them to either act better, move in a better manner, or, there's just ways that you can handle things. A lot of that is just a reflection upon themselves. A lot of times parents are calling the kids dumbasses because the parent is the dumbass. To be completely honest with you. But that's a different topic. So yes, you must love yourself. The same love that you're giving out, give that same love to yourself. Heal those insecurities, heal those vulnerabilities. Love yourself. A lot of times that's why we may find ourselves in isolation. A lot of times that's why we may feel lonely. It's because we're battling against these insecurities. We're battling against these vulnerabilities. We're battling against all these things that's been placed upon us that we haven't been able to work on due to not having confidence, due to not having love. It goes back to the kid being called stupid. You call a kid stupid or you call a kid ugly, anything demeaning. You place those spells upon this kid. The kid is now in isolation. Why? Because the kid doesn't have anybody to turn to. And this is especially for mothers. Because, and you say, why is this? Because a child has a special connection to a mother. We know the whole debate about who may be more important in child rearing. Is it the father? I mean, in childbirth, is it the father or the mother? Da 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 da. I'm not here for that conversation. I think that conversation is stupid. This is a side note. This is a little tangent, but I think that conversation is stupid. About the seed and the soil, it's stupid. Trying to make one party greater than the other is stupid. Because men, I'm not pandering to women, but men, how are you even going to have a child if you don't have a woman? And women, how are you going to have a child if you don't have a man? So this whole conversation about one's more important than the other, trying to put one on a pedestal, is stupid. It's so stupid. It's toxic. You need healthy seed and you need healthy soil. Again, you need healthy seed just as much as you need healthy soil. Point blank, period. In the conversation. So, the child who's not receiving that love, they grow up with these insecurities. They grow up with all these things. And I say the reason why it's more so important when for the mother to give that love, and it hurts the child even much more when the mother does these things, is because the mother has a very special connection to the child. This is why I'm very, very picky about who I choose to have kids with if I choose to have kids. I'm very, 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 very picky about this. Because of that special connection that that child has with their mother. Why? Number one, that child is birthed from this lady, this woman. This child is birthed from this woman. This woman and this child have had a special growing connection for 9 months. 9. She's had to nurture this child, whether she wanted to or not, for 9 months. And you telling me there's no special connection there? That's the one you turn to. You know, we all have fallen off our bike. And what's the first thing that comes out of our mouth? Either we cry or we say, "Mommy." Your mama could be in a whole different city. It's just the natural reaction to say, "Mommy." This is when you're a kid. You see? You see the special connection that you have with a child, a woman and a child. This is why it's important to give that love. And this is why it's so detrimental when you don't give that love and you give that hate. You give that toxicity of calling your child stupid, a dumbass, ugly, retarded. All these degrading words. How is a child supposed to grow from that? This child that has a very, very special connection to you. You think because this child is not in you, they're not growing from you? Come on now. And that's why these kids are isolated. When you do that, is because the person that you're supposed to turn to in that place of hurt is shut off. Why do you think majority of daughters who've had a narcissistic mother are lonely and shy and don't have a lot of confidence? I can see it from a mile away. Not to get personal or anything like that, but girls I've dated in the past or whatever the case may be, I can just tell if she had a narcissistic mother. Just by how the girl I was with at the time, just by how their temperament, I can just tell. I can just tell. You don't even have to open up your mouth. I can just tell. So, that's because they didn't receive that love that they were supposed to during their nurturing. They didn't receive it. They received something else. They got a different programming in. So when that programming came in from their mother, guess what happened? I'll tell you what happened. When that mother input that different programming out and started saying these words and all these negative words of affirmation, guess what happened? In that time when that child is hurt and supposed to turn to the mother for help and healing and guidance, that door has been shut because that's your abuser. See, that's your abuser. So now you don't have anybody to turn to. So now what? You're lonely. And loneliness, what comes with loneliness, shyness, quietness, meek, no confidence. Because you've never been able to open up. It's like a flower it's like a flower that's long overdue. So instead of it blossoming, it just keeps it getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger on the inside, but it never opens up and blooms and shows true beauty. That's how these toxic relationships damage. It's quite something to dive into that I've written down in the past that I want to dive into. Mothers and narcissistic daughters. That's definitely something I want to dive into. But to continue going in love and loneliness, it's the same thing with sons and their fathers. It's the same thing. The person that you want guidance from and protection from, the person that you want to tell you good job, son, and all these things. Yet you don't receive it. Yet they tell you you're not good enough. Yet this, yet this, yet this, yet this, yet this, yet this. And so you don't even get accepted or loved from your father that you need to help you grow. So what do? You turn around and you leave. So the same way that the son turns from his father because now he's lonely, because he doesn't have that love. He's lonely. He goes search. He's lonely, so he goes search his love from outside sources. So what does he do? He joins gangs. What does he do? He becomes a criminal. Why? Because he gets love from the police. He gets that attention from the police. See? That's why. And the same thing for the female. She didn't get that love from her mother. So what does she do? We all know what happens then. Two things happen. She either turns into herself and becomes lonely and shy, or she turns around and seeks that validation from the world. And we all know what happens when a female seeks validation from the world. We see it now. That's where you get the whole culture from. A bunch of girls who didn't have that love in their life, so it went one or two ways. Some become shy, not a whole lot of confidence. They're a beautiful flower that hasn't bloomed yet. Or the others become extroverted, seek validation from the world, and it's a flower that's overbloomed. So you have an underbloomed flower, a flower that never bloomed but is ready to bloom, and you have an overbloomed flower. You see? Instead of one that was just nurtured properly. Like I said, loneliness when you're lonely and you're able to take accountability, you're able to sit down and embrace the pain that may come along with it, everything after that is growth. As soon as you embrace the pain, as soon as you're able to sit down, that's when the healing begins. Healing, Healing, healing. That's where it begins. Once you're able to sit down and embrace that, that's where it begins. Like I said, it's no pointing fingers. It's just trying to understand. Even if you have to take accountability, it's not pointing fingers at yourself and blaming yourself. No, because now we're starting this self-love. So no, it's not. It's not accusing yourself or accusing other people, putting the blame on it. No, we're just trying to sit down and analyze where things went left so we can get this ship back on course to get right. Again, love and loneliness. You want true love? Sometimes you gotta go through loneliness to see that mirror, to get these things right. Because there's love out here for people. Like I said, not just romantic, but it's love out here. It's the healthy relationships that you're looking for, the reciprocation you're looking for. Sometimes you have to clear out the mud. Sometimes the mud is not necessarily what's out there. Sometimes it's mud that's on your own shoes that may be holding you back from stepping into that clean palace. Again, sometimes it's mud on your own shoes that's holding you back from getting into that clean palace more so than mud that's everywhere else. So once you dust that mud off for your shoes, you're ready to step into that clean palace. I hope this helps somebody today. Again, love and loneliness. Good talk. Episode 17. It's your favorite cousin, Rich. I'm signing off. I wish y'all nothing but love and blessings. Y'all be safe.